Please welcome to the Elevate stage, Dr. Camesha Whittaker-Samuel.
Good evening, Elevate Daytona Beach. I'm Camesha Whittaker-Samuel, and tonight I've come to ask at the end of our program one very important question. What if we just treated people better? Not because it's profitable, not because it's required, but simply because it's right. Now that may seem simple, but in the times in which we live, when division is marketed and outrage is rewarded and competition often overrides cooperation and collaboration, treating people better may be the most radical thing we can do. So tonight, I want to show you what that looks like through the extraordinary friendship and leadership shared between two of America's 20th century heroes, my sheroes, McLeod Bethune and Eleanor Roosevelt. One, a black woman born in 1875 in Maysville, South Carolina, to parents who had been enslaved and would later go on to be a national hero and leader in education and civil rights. The other, a white woman, born in 1884 in New York City, into wealth and political power, who would later become a First Lady of the United States. By every social rule, these two women should never have become friends. And yet, they didn't just become friends. They built a blueprint and left a leadership model from which we can all learn today. That's the leadership model we want to talk about today. What if we just treated people better? Their friendship wasn't convenient. Their friendship was courageous, uncommon even, forged during one of the most racially volatile periods in American history. And yet, they didn't just become allies. They saw each other as sacred human beings, and their work became a model for what happens when we treat people better. Through their partnerships, thousands of youth gained access to jobs and education. The historically black woman survived and grew. And they continued to put a black woman at the center of the United Nations Human Rights Charter because Bethune was a friend of Eleanor Roosevelt. But how did they do this? How did they accomplish this? First, they led with trust, and they used their power wisely. They developed an honest friendship. Yes, they disagreed, even challenged each other, but they always returned to their shared values: respect, integrity, and responsibility. Second, they used their influence with intention. Bethune mobilized national networks all throughout the country, and Eleanor Roosevelt opened the doors of government to Mrs. Bethune, insisting that Bethune belong. Third, they helped to shape real policy. Bethune led the Negro Division of the National Youth Administration and directed funding to thousands because Eleanor Roosevelt cleared a way. Fourth, they were able to see each other not just eye to eye. They were able to choose to do what was right, even when it wasn't easy. Yes, Eleanor Roosevelt didn't just invite Bethune to the table at the United Nations Charter, she amplified her voice. Now, I know a little bit about amplification of that voice because nearly 30 years ago, I too sat and walked through the halls of Bethune-Cookman as a first-generation Jamaican student, the institution that McLeod Bethune built. I wasn't yet an American citizen, but I believed in some core values: faith, and the belief that leadership isn't about titles, it is about presence. You see, these two women's stories didn't just inspire me, they directed me. So much so that I wrote a dissertation about their lives and its impact on social change, later wrote a children's book by the same title, and had the opportunity to sit at the feet of Dr. Dorothy Height, the late, great Dr. Dorothy Height, whose interview confirmed through her accounts of their firsthand relationship what my research of years already proved: that what changed the world wasn't politics or power. What changed the world was friendship. So what's the takeaway for us today? We are not here to compete for relevance. We are here, my friends, to collaborate for results. We are not here to take sides. We are here to take responsibility. So if we want to lead, here's the charge. Well, in our schools, in our cities, in our corporations, and even in our churches, we must, I implore you, return to the shared values of Mayor McLeod, Bethune, and Eleanor Roosevelt. Leadership rooted in trust, built on bridges, and measured by how we treat. So I return to the same question with which I began this evening. What if we just treated people better? Because how we treat people is the measure. It is the legacy. And it is still the most powerful thing that we can do.